Hey guys, we covered every single aspect of Dragon Quest VII Reimagined on my YouTube channel, and to wrap things up, I will give you a review and tell you how good and or bad this game is, how does it compare to other JRPGs, etc. I will cut this review into two parts, as for this game specifically I found this to be necessary. First, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you a TLDR, right? But let me explain first. I will first talk and explain to you the objective truth about this game, and then I will give you my own personal, very biased opinion about this game, because these two things, they differ a whole bunch. Now, let me first give you the TLDR in case you are not interested to hear me out any longer. The objective truth about this game is that it is complete trash. My own personal biased opinion is though, I love this game and I actually believe this is very close to becoming a masterpiece. It's not quite there, but it only needs one thing in particular, which I will tell you about later, in order for it to actually be a masterpiece. Now, to dive into the objective truth about this game, we of course have to consider and talk about quite a few things here, right? As it would be with every single video game out there. We gotta talk about the combat system, the difficulty, the story, character design, exploration, world building, and so on and so forth. We're gonna dive into everything here in just a second. Let's first of all talk about the combat system, and this also ties right into the difficulty. These two things go hand in hand in this game, and they are not doing a good job here at all. Look, the entirety of the game, no matter on what difficulty setting you would ever play this, yeah, it is played on auto battle. The entire playthrough is played on auto battle, again, no matter what difficulty you play on. Look, if you take a look into what difficulty settings I put in, I put it on this one here, damage dealt normal, experience, proficiency and gold acquired, I'll put all of this on more, and to counteract this and to not overlevel I put the monster strength on strong. No matter if you would tune this game to a harder difficulty, in fact, right, I know people, multiple of those, that play with a difficulty where everything here is set to normal except for the monster strength that is still put onto strong, so because they want a little bit of a challenge, or at least they thought that way by putting the difficulty settings on quite a harsh difficulty, they would face a challenge. But no, these people are also all completely crushing the game with autoplay. Every single boss, even the very final boss in this game, is obliterated easily without overleveling on auto battle. Even when I faced the very last boss in this game, Orgodimir, or whatever his name is, I didn't even have my jobs fully leveled up. I had no access to the champion or the druid or whatever, right? I was even a little bit underleveled. From me checking other people play this game, I was a little bit lower level than most of the people that I have seen playing this game against the final boss. And I still managed to defeat this on autoplay easily, no problem. My characters were not even ever close to be dying or anything like that. And this is a fact that completely destroys everyone's experience, right? We are literally not playing a video game here at all. We are watching the gameplay itself for us and obliterate everything, no matter what, right? I hear the people make this argument of, oh yeah, if you would put your difficulty settings up on the very highest, if you put everything on low except for the monster strength, then yeah, you will not get away with auto-playing the entire game. That is complete bullshit. Look, even if, let's say, right, let's go back to the difficulty settings, even if there is someone out there that puts this on the easiest thing it could possibly be, if this is monster strength weak, if they put damage dealt on more, right, you cannot blame them whatsoever, because look, if the game presents you with an option to completely cheese it and to make it extremely easy, then guess what, guys? This game is too easy, because of course you're gonna abuse the system. If, let's say, you get stuck, once the player that plays this on the hardest possible difficulty, if this guy gets stuck and dies a few times, he will make the difficulty settings so that it is easier for himself, because otherwise, guess what, he would have to go grinding a little bit. That's not what he wants, so he adjusts the difficulty level to cheese whatever he's stuck with, and then he turns it back down, right? Everyone in the world does that. Don't come me with bullshit like this. And also another thing that I want to mention, because this is also a very, very strong argument that people think, at least is a very, very strong argument for JRPGs in general. And that is that you can, for example, very, very early on in the game, you can, or whenever you feel like it, you can go on a grinding streak. For example, here in Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, you could go grind and max out every single job and then cheese the game that way. Yeah, look, you cannot have this argument against people who do this and say, oh yeah, if you wouldn't be doing this, then the game wouldn't be as easy. You make the game as easy for yourself. No. We are playing the game smart, and we make ourselves strong to establish true power and then obliterate the game that way. That is not on us. That is an option that the game presents to us, and this is a strategic way to abuse the system in this game. Look, if the developer doesn't have a vision of how difficult or how easy his game should be, then that is on the games, that is the game's fault. This is the game developer's fault. If we have the option to cheese the game, of course we're gonna use the option, right? If a developer would want his game to be difficult, then he has to hit us with level caps that while we are in this state of the game, right, if at this part in the story, then we can get only up to level 20, and we can only level up to level 20, and then we have to face the boss in order to progress the story on level 20, and our jobs can only be leveled up to, let's say, level 4, right? And this would be what the developer needs to do to present us his vision of his video game and the difficulty that he wants to present to us. If he doesn't do that, of course everyone is gonna abuse the system left, right and center. One more time, this is not the player's fault, this is the game's fault. So if you use the argument that I mentioned a couple of times here, and you go at players who cheese the game, and you'll be like, oh yeah, if you want to play it different, then it will be more difficult. Then you are literally saying that the video game that we are talking about is poorly designed and the game developer doesn't present his vision accordingly. So you are literally making an argument against yourself. Alright, so we figured out that the combat system and the difficulty in this game is completely terrible, right? That's a fact, that's objective truth, there's no way to argue against that. The whole game, even if you put it on a quite high difficulty, is played on autoplay. Right? I explained everything in detail. So, what about the story here? There is no story present in this game whatsoever. Look, I don't give a fuck about the story. I skip every dialogue, every cutscene and everything. But I can still tell you that this game doesn't even have a story. The story is divided into multiple different parts. Every island that you go to has its own mini story. You jump from one mini story into the next mini story into the next mini story. And again, I know people who play games for the story. That's what they literally play the game for. They play very close attention, and I know they have the capabilities that their brain works in a way that they actually understand what is happening, okay? And everyone that I have talked to says the story is at best very mediocre. It is even very annoying for them to jump from mini story to mini story from mini story. It is all in all not a great experience. If you play this game right here for the story, that is not a kicker. That is definitely not worth $60 whatsoever. I hear no one praise the story in this game whatsoever. So it is pretty safe to say that is completely dogshit, right? The characters in this game here, there is copy paste after copy paste after copy paste. Every single island, every single town always has the same NPCs. It got to a point where first I was confused about it. Why is the same bald guy in every single town? Why is the same king everywhere? What is that about? What am I missing here? And no, those are not actually the same people. They are different people. They just look the same because the developers are too lazy to develop new designs for their game. And I mean, how would anyone in the world say this is like good? You know, if you in every single town that is different but you meet the same people, I mean, yikes, bro. It really, as I said, it got to a meme. At one point I was laughing every single time I meet this old bald guy. He's like slithering in every single town. I found this at one point hilarious. So that was the next point, right? Story complete ass, does barely even exist. Maybe, like, let's say, right, there are 10 mini stories in this game. Maybe you like 2 of them, right? But overall, how it all comes together is objective ass. Cool. Then we can move on to exploration and world building. In this game, these 2 things also go hand in hand. You have a present and a past here. You do one whole town, whole region, explore the mountain, blah blah. Okay, that is quite decent. It's not the craziest thing in the world where you explore a region and you are like, oh, cool or something, right? It is decent, it is okay. Now, where it turns into absolute dog shit is that every single time you beat a region, you explored a region, you did every single quest and every single objective is done in a region, you go to the past, into the exact same area, into the exact same town again. You explore everything in this game twice, and that makes it just disgusting. That is so bad, it's actually incredible. I have never played a game where I have to do every single thing, every single area in the entire game twice. That is the definition of being boring and the game becoming stale. Again, it is so bad, in fact, it also turned into a meme. I was opening the same treasure chests. I was destroying the same barrel over and over again. Every single thing I do, I have to do this twice. It turned into a meme where I was saying like, hey, this barrel is actually the same barrel, but it's different at the same time. You know what I mean? That is stupid. Sorry, but it is, I have to say it like that, this is fucking stupid, bro. Every single region, right? Even the exploration is decent. If I have to do this every time twice, no, hell nah, bro. What if I don't like an area? I have to go through this area twice. That is something I do not want to do and I absolutely despise. And you know, this ties into the world building, because you do the area in the present, you do the exact same area right after one more time in the past. Once you have done this shore twice and also did explore the exact same region again in the past, a new region opens up. Cool. That is first hype. Yeah, a new area, a new island, I can explore something that looks a little bit different, right? Yeah, okay, cool. but after I did that, I have to do it again. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Alright, we talked about combat system, difficulty, story, exploration, world building. All of these things are objectively bad, right? I mean, how would you argue against that? Now, what about the actual character design for the characters that we play? And what about our opponents' character design? How are the opponents designed? How well is the design of our characters that we actually play? We already figured out that the overall character design here is just a very lazy, boring and confusing copy paste. But what about the characters that we play and what are we playing against? Now, this is one of the best parts in the game, because our characters, they are quite fairly well designed. Now, of course, it depends. That is a little bit of, it depends onto yourself. For example, Maribel has voice acting that is questionable, and even her personality is questionable. That you have to, of course, judge for yourself. I personally, I love Maribel. She's my favorite character in this game. But I can easily see she's being annoying. Her voice acting goes onto your nerves. You hate her personality. I can easily see that, right? And one of the last cutscenes, I think it is, where the character Kiefer is an adult and he says goodbye to everyone, right? He cracks a little bit about a little joke about Maribel's personality there as well. So this is done on purpose, but that doesn't mean, just because it's done on purpose and this is what the developers were going for, that doesn't mean that is necessarily good. I personally like it, but this is easily dislikable as well, no issue whatsoever. Then the other characters' designs here are solid, right? Of course they are. The original design was made by Akira Toriyama, and of course he nails it, right? This guy is a genius when it comes to this stuff. But all in all things considered, the characters' design and their personalities, they are boring. They don't stick out. They are nothing special. Kinda slop, if I'm being honest. The personalities here, other than Maribel's, they don't stick out. They are flat, they are boring. We have seen stuff like this tons and tons, and like, it's just very mediocre. Nothing sticks out about these characters. So I mean, overall, when I would boil it down, I would say the character design here is mid. It's not bad. It doesn't stick out with like something that I could call good though either. So I think calling the character design in this game mid is the perfect judgment. Then we gotta talk about the enemy design, which is for the most part really good. This is funny. This can even, like, you know, I'm new to the Dragon Quest franchise. That was the first Dragon Quest game I have ever played, and when I first in the demo saw this enemy design, it caught me a little bit off guard and it was very weird. But in the end, this got funny and very charming. So the enemy design is very good. There are exceptions though, especially the final boss Urgudemir, being like this gay vampire dude that thinks he is very charming, very beautiful, while he's actually butt fucking ugly. You know, I know this is a joke. For me, this doesn't work though. There are multiple examples for this as well. What about the comedy? Is this game funny? Absolutely not. There are a few times where characters, I noticed that even though I skipped the dialogue and everything, there are quite a few times where people in this game, they try to be funny, they crack jokes. Nothing of that sticks with me whatsoever. The game is only funny with how some enemies look. And that's about it. Like the lips and yeah, many other things in this game. They look funny and charming, okay. But overall, they're also very, there are a lot of examples where I wouldn't consider the enemy design to be, yeah, again, not bad, but also nothing that truly sticks out as being like good or even fantastic or anything like that. So while some enemy designs I would call them fantastic, all things considered, considering the whole picture, I would also have to say mid, because yeah, there are fantastic designs, but there are also terrible designs, like the end boss that I just mentioned. So it comes down to me calling this mid for sure. Okay, so that was the objective truth. Yeah, of course, like the character design, that is of course, that is not objective. That comes down to how much you personally like it. But the combat system is trash because the whole game is played on autoplay. That makes the difficulty in this game ass. Then the story, sure, maybe someone likes it, but again, we are talking about objective truth here, and with this game not having a story at all that comes well together, but is divided into a shit ton of mini stories, that's not the way to go, that's bad design. Then exploration and world building, right? You have to explore every single region in this game twice. Every single NPC in this game is copy pasted over and over again. That is trash. World building ties into this. You explore the island once, cool, but then it turns into trash because you have to do it all over again. This shit is a meme and not good game design. Okay, now let's move into my personal biased opinion. So in my personal opinion, when it comes to the playthrough, yeah, look, I'm a very competitive player and I need challenges in this game. I want my game to be difficult, right? Otherwise I call this jokingly a kids game and I get bored really fast. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is piss easy, even on difficult settings, you know what I mean? This is what I don't like usually. But what saved the playthrough here for me is this insane quality of life that is presented to me. In JRPGs, what goes on my nerves, like absolute insanely crazy, it drives me nuts every time, is that people, they do talk in riddles. The game never tells me where to go and what to do. Very often. Like for example, the best example I can give you is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The overworld was so absolutely ridiculously it was the worst overworld I have ever experienced in my life, because everything was a maze. Let me give you an example. To reach point A on the map that is in the north, I cannot, the marker on the map tells me, hey, go north, this is where you have to go. And when I go north and I arrive at my desired location where the game tells me to go, I cannot reach this location there, because in order to go there, this is a multi-layered map. So in order to get there, I have to go, let me say, upstairs. But there is no way for me to go upstairs there at all. No. I have to travel through the entire map back all the way to the south to jump onto a mushroom that acts as a trampoline for me to go upstairs. Then I'm upstairs and I have to solve a super ridiculously difficult maze in order to then reach my destination, right? Where I would go to in the north, where the game tells me to go to. And don't dare to ever fall down this upstairs, right? There are countless times where if you don't nail something, you fall down and you have to go all the way back again to this mushroom trampoline dog shit to go upstairs again and then try again to reach your destination. You see, this is stuff that I cannot stand this shit. Aside from also very countless annoying mini games that they force me to play. I did not buy this game. I did not sign up for stupid fucking mini games like this memory right here. Look, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined does only have this one mini game. You are not forced to play this unless you want to unlock the platinum trophy, right? I can just skip the platinum trophy and not worry with a stupid 8-year-old memory game that I have to play here for hours. Bro, I'm a grown-ass man. I'm not a little fucking dumb kid to play memory here for a few hours. So fuck the platinum trophy. You know what I mean? But this is what I really appreciate about Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. They always tell me very clear where I have to go. I can easily, with no problem, reach the destination. I can reach the point where the game tells me to go easily. There are no riddles, there is no maze. The way is clear and open for me to go where I have to go. Highly appreciated. And on top of that is Dragon Quest also makes it very clear what I have to actually do once I reach my destination. So this is very, I play a lot of JRPGs. I've played tons and tons of JRPGs in my life, and playing Dragon Quest for the first time, that is really a reason. The quality of life here is a reason that I love this game. That was really a breath of fresh air that I did not see coming. So thank you for one time at least telling me where to go and what do I have to do without being the most annoying little cockroach possible. I love this game for this reason. Then onto the combat system, as to playing the game on autoplay the whole game through, right? Yeah, this is boring, sure. I agree, and I hated it, you know. I was bored out of my mind, but still, that was fine to me. Because, as I said, like the rest of the game, with all its quality of life, letting me teleport and telling me where to go, telling me what to do, not being hit with mazes and all that kind of stuff, right? It made it a very cozy and relaxing playthrough, and therefore I kept going. Now, onto a very important part, and this is the reason why I cannot call this game a masterpiece. This is the only flaw, in my opinion, that this game has, is that the end game, the post game, while yeah, it is difficult enough to not be done on autoplay anymore. That is very good. This is when we actually start playing in a video game, right? And we are not watching something, and yeah, watch the game literally play itself. The post game is the first time where we actually start playing the game for ourselves. That is appreciated. The problem is that it is still too easy. The battle arena, the almighty Zenlon, there is no enemy in this game that would pose a satisfying challenge, and that's the big issue. Look, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? Or any Final Fantasy game, most JRPGs have a post game that is tough as nails, or even like the final boss of the game is quite difficult. Not in every JRPG, but yeah, there are some out there where the end boss, the final boss of the story, is a satisfying challenge. Mainly it is in the post game though. And look, in Final Fantasy Rebirth, for example, like obtaining the platinum trophy there, or just beating all the battles in this simulator thing at the end. That is extremely difficult, and there's no way to cheese it. The difficulty there is set, and even if you go with all of your group completely maxed out, you have the best equipment, you have max level, you have an extremely optimized strategy that you grinded your ass off for. Even if you go into battles like this, right? Extremely optimized, maxed out everything, best gear, yada yada, then the fights there are still extremely challenging. You have to adapt your optimized, perfectly thought out strategy to what the boss is, or the enemies are throwing at you. And this is what makes a game a masterpiece in the end. Now, of course, like the Final Fantasy VII is not a masterpiece, don't get me wrong. The playthrough, the overworld is horrendous garbage, right? But it doesn't matter, because in the end, the game is satisfying. If you beat this game, you have an accomplishment onto your hands, because you beat content that not everyone, most people are not able to beat this. They don't have the skill for it, literally. And that is what I am personally looking for. And if, see, Dragon Quest, I've beaten the game. I can now, if I would grind this memory dog shit out here a little bit, I would have the platinum trophy. And I feel like, my feeling tells me I did not beat the game. There is something missing, you know. Why is that? Because I cannot walk out of this game satisfied. Because there was never a challenge. Everything was for me an absolute walk in the park. No matter how you look at it. The battle arena, I cannot ramp up the difficulty there. The difficulty there is set. You can see my characters are not even max level. I could grind way more seeds. I don't need to do all of this. This is a walk in the park. I'm pretty sure right now at the power level that I am at, I could even autoplay the fucking battle arena without any issue whatsoever, you know what I mean? And this is why I cannot call this a great game. I personally love this game, and it's close to a masterpiece. If just the post game, if there would be something that challenges me, right? That is not cheesable. That would be enough for me to really love this game and say it's good. But I can't, right? If I walk out of a platinum trophy unsatisfied, that is like the worst thing that a game can present to me. And yeah, here we go. Right? This game is objective. Let me like come to an end here and give you the solution. The game is objective trash. There's no argument to be had here. I still love this game because of the quality of life and how cozy everything was. But in the end, I cannot call this a good game because there was no challenge. It was way too easy. Nothing in this game challenged me. It was an absolute walk in the park. And for the player that I am, that is very competitive and looks for a challenge, this was unfortunately not it for me. I do not regret buying this game though. As I said many times by now, I love this game. I think it was really great, very cozy, great experience. If they now release a new Dragon Quest game in the franchise, I will definitely buy it and I will definitely play it again. That is also, of course, making YouTube content is a huge part, a huge reason for that, right? If I would be just here sitting alone and just playing the game for myself, I would probably never play a game like this ever again because it is too easy for me. But yeah, with the content and with the feedback and yeah, with everyone around, that was still quite a good, fun experience, and I will do it again once they release another Dragon Quest game. But I mean, I talked way too much. Anyways, right? That was the last video that you will see from me concerning Dragon Quest VII Reimagined content, unless I'm hit with some questions and with some video requests. But that's it for me, guys. I hope you're not too pissed after my review because it was way too negative and you like this game, you disagree with me, right? That's fine. Who cares? Have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Peace.